The room went silent the moment the billionaire CEO's eyes landed on the waitress's laptop screen. Just minutes ago, the wealthy guests had been laughing at her, mocking her every word. But now their smiles faded, because the truth on that glowing screen was powerful enough to turn the entire room upside down. The grand ballroom sparkled with crystal chandeliers, laughter, and the clinking of glasses as the city's wealthiest gathered for a charity gala. Every corner gleamed with extravagance, from the polished marble floors to the golden trays carrying glasses of champagne. Moving quietly among the glittering crowd was Maya, a young black waitress dressed in a plain uniform that stood in stark contrast to the designer gowns swirling around her. She carried herself with quiet dignity, balancing trays with practiced grace, though she could feel the eyes of some guests lingering on her, not with kindness but with disdain. A group of wealthy socialites sitting near the center table began to whisper and giggle each time she passed. One of them exaggerated her accent, mocking the way she politely asked, "Excuse me, may I serve you?" Another woman snorted, "Oh, she sounds like she belongs on the street, not in this place." Their laughter spilled into the air, sharp and cruel, and it wasn't long before others joined in, amused by their shallow cruelty. Maya felt the sting of humiliation crawl through her chest, but she refused to let it break her composure. She straightened her back, forcing herself to focus on her work, though every mocking glance felt like a dagger. Inside, however, her heart ached. She had dreams much larger than this ballroom, dreams that none of these people could ever imagine. Yet to them, she was invisible, someone to laugh at, someone to dismiss. She tightened her grip on the tray, repeating silently to herself, "They don't know me. They don't know what I carry inside." And even as the cruel laughter echoed behind her, Maya's eyes carried a silent fire that no ridicule could extinguish. At the far end of the glittering hall, seated in quiet observation, was Adrian Cole, a billionaire CEO known for his sharp mind and colder demeanor. While others sipped champagne and exchanged hollow compliments, Adrian's sharp eyes scanned the room, catching details most ignored. He had noticed Maya from the moment she stepped in with her tray, her quiet discipline, the way she moved with precision, and the subtle strength in her expression even as she endured the cutting laughter of the wealthy. Unlike the others, he didn't see a mere waitress. He saw resilience, something money couldn't buy. During a brief lull in serving, Maya slipped to a small corner table and gently placed her tray aside. From her worn-out bag, she pulled out an old laptop, its edges scratched, keys slightly faded, yet treated with more care than the expensive jewelry flaunted around her. The same group that mocked her earlier burst into fresh laughter. "What could she possibly be doing on that outdated thing?" one man sneered. Another woman scoffed, "Maybe she's writing a fairy tale about being rich like us." Their cruel words carried across the room, drawing smirks from nearby guests. But Adrian's gaze locked on Maya, curiosity stirring within him. Instead of embarrassment, she sat calmly, her fingers moving quickly across the keyboard with focus and determination, shutting out the laughter like it was mere background noise. Adrian leaned forward in his chair, intrigued. Who was this young woman, and why did she work as a server while her eyes burned with such intensity? Without hesitation, he rose from his seat, his presence immediately shifting the energy of the room. The mocking voices died down as whispers replaced laughter, for when Adrian Cole walked with purpose, everyone noticed. And his steps were leading directly toward Maya. Maya was so absorbed in her work that she didn't notice the sudden hush that spread across the hall. Her fingers danced across the keyboard, the glow of the screen reflecting against her determined face. She wasn't scrolling through social media or idly passing time. She was building something, lines of code, intricate designs, and a detailed financial projection that looked more like it belonged in a boardroom than on the battered laptop of a waitress. Adrian stopped behind her, silently observing for a moment, his sharp eyes scanning the complex graphs and models she had carefully crafted. He recognized it instantly, an innovative concept that had the potential to disrupt entire markets. The murmurs in the hall grew louder as the wealthy guests craned their necks to see what had stolen the CEO's attention. Some chuckled nervously, others exchanged confused glances, but none understood what they were looking at. Maya finally sensed the shift in the atmosphere and looked up, startled to see Adrian standing there, watching her screen intently. For a split second, fear flickered across her eyes, fear of ridicule, of losing this one safe space where she poured her dreams. But instead of mockery, Adrian's expression carried something no one in the room had ever given her before: respect. The weight of his gaze silenced even the boldest of the socialites, their smirks fading as they realized something was different. Maya's laptop, once the subject of cruel jokes, now commanded the attention of the most powerful man in the room. And in that moment, she understood something important. Her dreams were far bigger than their laughter, and now someone influential enough to make them real had finally seen them. The room fell into a heavy silence as Adrian slowly straightened, his eyes still fixed on Maya's laptop screen. Everyone waited for him to dismiss her, to laugh along with them, to confirm that she was nothing more than a waitress with foolish dreams. But instead, he did something that none of them expected. He placed a steady hand on Maya's shoulder and spoke loud enough for every guest in the glittering hall to hear. "This," he said, pointing at the laptop, "is not just impressive, it's genius." Gasps rippled through the crowd, their smug smiles vanishing in an instant. Maya's eyes widened, stunned by the weight of his words, while the women who had mocked her shrank back in shame. Adrian continued, his voice firm and deliberate, "You're not a server in this room. You are a visionary. And anyone too blind to see that has no business calling themselves successful." His words struck the room like a thunderclap. The once arrogant guests shifted uncomfortably, their pride dissolving as they realized the man they all admired most had openly defended her. Adrian didn't stop there. He announced that he wanted to fund her idea, to partner with her and bring her vision to life. The entire hall erupted into whispers, some in disbelief, others in envy, but none dared to mock her again. Maya sat frozen, her heart pounding, trying to process the sudden turn of events. Just hours ago, she had been invisible in this very room, a target of cruel laughter. Now, before the wealthiest in the city, a billionaire had declared her brilliance to the world. And for the first time in her life, Maya felt the chains of doubt breaking. The weeks that followed were nothing short of extraordinary. Maya's quiet life transformed overnight as Adrian made good on his promise, providing her with the resources, mentorship, and connections she had once only dreamed of. The laptop that had once been a source of mockery became the birthplace of a groundbreaking company, one that quickly captured attention for its innovation and bold vision. News outlets ran stories about the waitress-turned-entrepreneur, and her name began appearing in places she had never imagined: business magazines, television interviews, and global conferences. The same wealthy socialites who once laughed at her now spoke her name with admiration, though Maya never forgot how easily they had mocked her when she was unseen. Yet she carried no bitterness. Instead, she let her success speak louder than their laughter ever could. At every step, Adrian reminded her that he had not given her brilliance, he had only recognized it. She had always carried the fire within her. Standing on a stage months later, as the world applauded her achievements, Maya thought back to that night in the ballroom. She remembered the sting of humiliation, the cruel voices, and the weight of being underestimated. But more than that, she remembered the moment she refused to let their mockery define her. Her voice trembled with emotion as she addressed the crowd, saying, "Never let the world tell you who you are. Only you know the power inside you. And when the right eyes finally see it, everything changes." The audience erupted in applause, but Maya smiled softly, knowing the real victory had never been in the recognition. The real victory was in proving to herself that her dreams had always been bigger than their laughter. And this time, no one could ever take that away.